Here we go again. I mean, like, it's growing season. And here we go again. This is my second flip of the 2021 aerobic compost pile. The first flip, it was raining and I didn't record any of it. Let me assure you it was active. In this flip we're going to be adding more ingredients. We have more fish carcasses. This right here is chewed honeycomb. I chewed it for the honey and then I put it in a bag and put it in the freezer years ago. And we're going to add it. This is the most outlandish ingredient. It's kelp from Iceland. Then we have double burnt bones. And I've done double burnt bones before, but I've really burned them really hot. This particular batch was done differently. It's very brittle. Well, that piece isn't that brittle. Here's a brittle piece, I know. See that? So some of them aren't brittle, and that's okay. I want to see what happens in the pile that they're not brittle. But what I did was I threw them into my wood burner with a bed full of hot coals, and then I shut off all the airflow into the wood burner, and then I did that a second time, and I made them brittle. In the past, I just burnt them. I just let the coals burn them up. So I'm thinking I'm going to get more elements out of it doing this. This is closer to how I was taught to do it in a permaculture design course that I participated in. Not quite yet. I'm getting there. But I think the soil will break that down anyway. We'll see what happens. If I have these bones laying around in my garden, I don't care. Then we have biochar. This was done in the best way, where you burn wood without oxygen. I have little cans. I've got holes in the top of the cans, and I put these segments of live. I found out the best way to make biochar is with live wood, and then I put the cover on that can with the holes in it and throw it right in a wood burner as everything's burning. And these wood segments come from that. The inside, you can see fire come roaring out of those little holes on top of the can, and all of a sudden it stops burning. So all of what can burn burned inside that can without oxygen, and this is what you're left with. What happens is it becomes homes for bacteria. There's a lot of fissures and holes in this, and the bacteria reside in it. So that's what this is. And I've done this similarly, where I just kind of break it apart a little bit, but these larger chunks, every once in a while I find one in my garden, but I think the composting really kind of breaks them down all on its own a little bit, or mostly even, because I don't see too many of them when I do see them. You can see a lot of it on the bottom is all pretty small. Okay. Now, as I've discovered over the years, the best way to start the new pile is to take the material at the bottom third of the pile first. This is where it dries out the most, is right here at the bottom. So we take this bottom part all the way around the pile, and that forms the center of the new pile right here. Start right here. You can see how brown this liquid is, I think. Maybe you can't. Here. This is really brown liquid. It's from a barrel of fermented Comfrey from 2019. So it has more than a year and a half, probably a year and 3/4, and all the green leaves are gone. All that were left were a few stems. All of that Comfrey is in this water. All the nutrients are still there. Wow,
else would they go? That paper bag from that fish. That was biochar I was breaking apart. This is a bucket of fermented human hair. If you missed the first video, the manure is from horses, and there's a descriptive word to call some of this material is horse apples. What happens is I think it's such a rough material that they eat, and when they release it out of the other end, it stays in little balls. So when I threw that on a pile, the balls obviously will want to roll off the sides of it. So now I'm raking up these little balls and I'm putting it into a little trough that I produce in the middle between piles. Now it's going to be at the bottom of the pile, all those horse apples. And these are going to eat up fast because this is pretty close to the middle after I'm done. I'm going to go find some more fermented green material. Other ingredients. This is the fermented remains of wild plants, right there. Fermented wild plants. Really? Nobody told me to do that. I just discovered that on my own. Just trying to figure out how can I get green plants early in the spring before everything greens up, so I can make this compost. That's all it was. About, I don't know, this is 3 or 4 years now I've been doing it. terrific success. And in the fermenting process, I read somewhere down the line that fermenting food, to eat, actually enhances some of the nutrients. I think one of them they talked about was niacin. So definitely preserves the nutrients. And now it's going into the compost. Here we go. Into the hot center. There's the green material from last time they couldn't compost yet. I guarantee you it'll be gone in a couple more flicks. That is actually the leaves from a cherub. Yeah. Still kind of dry, so I better get some more water. What's important is that all the nutrients are in this water. And now it's being poured onto this compost heap that's creating trillions of bacteria. That bacteria is going to take those nutrients in their bodies, and it's the secretions and we should put some more other stuff. It's the secretions and the dead bodies of this bacteria what our plants are going to eat. And having all these nutrients in that bacteria is the point. And now we also have Icelandic kelp, which I think is an outlandish ingredient, but we have a lacking of iodine here in this area here around the Great Lakes in the United States. So I think that's important. I did buy some iodine drops, and I think next time I'll add some iodine drops right into the compost. I've never done that before. This is biochar. This is going to allow more bacteria to grow, and when it's applied to my garden, it's going to allow more bacteria to grow in the homes created by the biochar. This is double burnt bones, which almost similarly was made like the biochar without oxygen. That's why my soil has gotten my topsoil has gotten very deep quickly. It's the biochar. And I haven't really ever added that much, just like that little amount you see. Maybe there was a couple times there was a little more, maybe a little bit less. That's it. And I've been adding that for a lot of years. I've been composting like this since 2013. And probably adding biochar since 2014, something like that. Now, I'm not a scientist and I'm not measuring anything out of this. I'm just doing it by instinct. And when I see this steam coming out of the pile, I know I'm right on. Yeah, and this material There was a study on it. I think it came out of the University of Berkeley, that there's residues of it left in the soil after 17 years. That's special. These are deer bones. By double burning them and without oxygen, they're brittle. Yeah, that's good. Paper. Oh no, that was a leaf. A cherub leaf. If you missed the first video, I was talking about fish bones and adding this fish. There's a recent study came out and said there's a special form of phosphate in fish bones that are very beneficial to plant growth. I've been adding these fish carcasses the entire time because I like the fish, so I'm saving the carcasses, and I was very happy to find that out. There's that big hunk of sod. Still alive. Just like that, one of these flips, it'll be gone. In 2019 and 2020, I've got playlists up of those compost pile, and they get a lot more detailed. This one I'm not as interested doing a big huge documentary on it because I've already done two of them that was pretty good. spending more time hunting, fishing, and making money right now. That's what I want to do. Almost. I bought some potatoes in desperation last year when the COVID crisis hit. And the farmer was a dishonest guy. He sold me a bunch of potatoes that were totally green, unedible. I thought that the way it was being built in the beginning, I thought that 3/4 of humanity was going to die. You know, I'm not a scientist, how am I supposed to know? There were some people's spider senses that were tingling because they were resisting. I won't be adding any more kelp or double burnt bones or biochar. This is the last of it. I'm going to go on a stretch run. I'm getting close to that 5-foot height. That's what I learned in the permaculture design course, is that you get much above 5 feet and there's more weight on a pile and it compresses the center and you squeeze the oxygen out of it. The purpose for flipping this, and the routine is, once you build your pile, you wait 4 days, you get her going, and then after that, he taught me to do it every 2 days. I've already done it every 3 days with success. And anyways, you're flipping it to keep the oxygen in it. Once it turns anaerobic, that's not necessarily bad. It's not as good because more of the... Ooh, there's a fish in there, I think. Finish it. Okay. Good. Pile's really going to be a good one. I guess I did put a big ice block full in there. Those will be gone next flip. And then the other ice blocks probably do. Well, this one was a really big ice block, so I don't know. We'll see. Right now it smells like steamed fish. I'm glad I uncovered that before I got too much farther. Now I got material left to cover it with. That was the northern pike I caught on High Falls flowage. That was a nice fishing trip. That caught a lot of fish. It's on YouTube. High Falls flowage. Rick Larson, High Falls flowage. So not only did I catch meals of fish that day, but now I'm also feeding this compost and going to feed my garden. Can't get any better than that. Now this compost, this had a very high ratio of carbon. because the horse manure, the fella that's got the horse farm, he mixes the wood shavings that he gets. And he thinks it's at least 50% wood shavings and 50% horse manure. And horse manure isn't particularly high in nitrogen either. So it's beautiful material to work with. And I think this is why I'm able to add all of these foreign ingredients that have high nitrogen and they get ate so quickly because of all the carbon. Some of fish. These are cheeks. They must be from the bass. It's all going to become skewered. I've been putting a tarp over it because it's not drying out with the tarp. If I don't put the tarp on it, then it dries out. And I'm putting the tarp on the sun side. The sun is coming down this way under the pile. I think the reason that happens is because all this stuff is moving up. All the heat and everything's moving up in the pile. And if it was open, it would all just evaporate. So now with that tarp, it's forcing it to stay in that dome of tarp. You can tell when I pull the tarp off, the pile's wet. At the top. I was taught that you have to flip it. Outer pile turns into the inner pile. And I can see why they said that is because that top gets pretty dry. But now that I'm using this tarp, kind of hold it in a little bit. Now the top is wet. Now instead of flipping the whole thing, outer to inner, now I'm only having to use that bottom strip all the way around. There. I put those sticks over it to create kind of a teepee so that there's a little airflow between the tarp and the pile. So now it's done. Stay tuned for the next episode of As the Compost Turns.